I'm very excited for this. I'm very excited to listen to this new record. A lot of bands, ironically, that I've been networking with recently are releasing material this weekend. So there's you guys. There's this metalcore kawaii core band from Sacramento, SoCal, California. They just released their debut EP after I think 2 years really since we got in contact. They've been slowly building that up. They're now getting all that set up, which is just really cool to see. Like so cool to see. And then let's see, the Boys in Virulent. They released a single yesterday. They didn't release an EP or album, but they announced a new EP, a new split EP. So that should be fun. A podcast with Jake from Party Cannon.
Oh, sorry, man. My name's Chris, not Jake.
Oh, geez. I do apologize.
So good.
Chris. Okay. Don't know how I confused that. You can see everything, right?
Yep. This is it, man. This is it.
Cool. Start the music video, of course. Can you hear it?
Yeah, it's coming.
Cool.
Ladies, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not drunk enough to know if this is good weird or bad weird. I'll get there though.
Do the shirt, man.
build a loop and they throw some test dummies out. Come out dismembered, missing a head, missing arms. Okay, let's tinker with things. Change the height, change the angle, change the water pressure. Next step, let's put some humans in this thing.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Cool. You've not even seen the videos.
I saw the first music video, not this
Okay.
one though.
All right, so there's two more.
Yeah, the most dangerous theme park of all time. The owner was like, I'm not going to hassle the kids with a bunch of rules. I'm just going to leave safety up to them. It was like Lord of the Flies with booze and
Arm wrestle.
So tell me, any preparations as we're about to embark on the speed slide?
Yeah, preparation H. I've got it on right now. kind of juicy right now.
Das ist ein Bock.
Very Slipknot Iowa. I really Iowa might be this one. sick.
People would go in the shed to smoke weed and have sex. That's what they would do in that shed. Why anybody would want to have sex in there, I can't fathom.
YouTube Premium, man. You gotta get it eventually.
There are certainly things that happen at Action Park that are never spoken about. We lived through it. We regretted some of the things we did.
Apocalypse
but we
is
don't talk about it.
inbound. It's been here. Wait. This guy's back. Yeah. That's what you do. That was pretty impressive.
All right.
Nice.
Can't say the word pussy at the ginger
All right, that's the album.
That's the album. Okay. Let's go ahead and then, yeah, I think we're all good to go. So that was really fun to listen to. It was definitely it was a step up from the last album as far as like just the variety in the tracks that were presented, I would say. I think the music videos were also really, really fun to watch. Starting with what was the first song that you guys released through Unique Leader, or at least the first single. I'm losing track of the track names, and I'm in a, what is it? Where am I right now? Okay, so we're gonna we're gonna go back to the Unique Leader Records channel real quick. That way I can have names, track titles to mention, to reference. So right, without actually turning on the music. Right. So Weird But Not Illegal. That was a great start. I remember when you guys finally made the announcement, and I'm like, yeah, they're finally on Unique Leader Records. Like, it's been such an interesting journey, ladies and gentlemen. Like, everybody networking with this band and kind of like shadowing them or attempting to shadow them since their 2022 album cycle with Volumes of Vomit, Nauseating and Impalpable, like all of the more like, you know, brain dead tracks on that record. And then, you know, essentially doing our first in-person podcast session in downtown Nashville. That was so much fun. And I definitely hope to do a lot more of that in the future once I have the necessary tech for it. But simply said, being that we've told the story of Chris and Mike from Party Cannon with the last session in mind, basically in this session we'll be looking to catch up as much as possible on Chris's story, in which I don't know why I keep on thinking your name's Jacob, but Chris, like, so
Who knows? Who knows?
So I mean, since, for example, the tour that you guys went on where you were co-headlining, or you were I think you were opening for Flub. You were opening for Flub and other bands.
We were opening for Wormhole. It was Flood,
right.
Party Cannon, and Wormhole.
Yes, gotcha. And Wormhole, that was another band that we were trying to connect with back in the day because they were under the same, I think they were under like the same management team as Cognitive and even Waking the Cadaver, which caught me off guard. So I remember reaching out to them not too much longer after I went to that show. And I was like, okay, this is actually pretty good. Or I might have even just left after seeing Party Cannon's set, but it was because the trip, the journey to get from the end in downtown Nashville back home was at least like half an hour to 45 minutes, and I had work the next morning. Like, unfortunately, oftentimes you have to make sacrifices and just make sure that you can at least attend your job the next day. But I mean, whether it be the guy in the very loose, very puffy Batman costume that was peering down on us from the apartment complex, a lot of things happened that night. A lot of fun and new experimental things happened that night. And thanks, of course, to the boys in Party Cannon, to both Chris and Mike for offering their laptop, and basically me just bringing my mic. We recorded it on their laptop, and then they would send it to me sometime later during their touring cycle or during their tour, the later leg of their tour. So needless to say, a lot has changed. A lot has happened since then. A lot has happened. There have been many tours. You guys even stopped through town last November. I came out to see you guys. Shout out to Mike for grabbing me a cold one, to say the least, for my 24th. That was pretty sick. So what's been going on? Like, let's go ahead and catch everybody up from maybe the point of that tour with Wormhole, Flub, and other bands, and let's go ahead and get them caught up to this point from your perspective on how things have changed, on maybe how your life has changed. And we can go ahead and ramble on for at least an hour just with that. Like, all up to you, you know?
Shit, man. Oh, yeah, that's a good question, man. Like, a lot of things happened since that tour. Like, played a lot of festivals. I think the biggest one we did was, obviously, we sent a Unique Leader. We've got this album out now, but pretty much straight after that tour in America last year, the biggest thing we did straight after that was we opened for Gore on their UK tour in 2022. So that's like a summer tour. And that went around, I was over UK, and it stopped at Bloodstock Festival as well, which is probably UK's biggest metal festival. That's like strictly metal. There's bigger festivals in the UK that have metal bands, but Bloodstock's like, this is a metal festival, it makes sense. Yeah, so we played that. That was probably our biggest crowds at that point. Played this for like 5,000 people. That was a good one for us because the year before we were meant to play Bloodstock, and that was going to be like a big break for us. There's quite a lot of hype about our set when it was happening because people didn't really expect to see us on like a festival like that. And then a few days before, our drummer got COVID, so we had to pull out. So that was a fucking huge blow, but we got to come back on the Gore tour as well, so that kind of made things better. And yeah, from then we've done quite a bit of tour, been to Europe quite a bit, played a few festivals there. We signed a new booking agent, and he's been like absolutely fucking reliving himself, like a booking agent and a manager. They've really sorted us out. We've went to Breakfast Festival, played Metal Days in Slovenia. That was like 6,000, 7,000 people. That was like bands like Meshuggah and stuff. And we came back to America as well last year. We did the Part and a Half 10th anniversary tour. So last year was 10th anniversary of our first EP, Part and a Half, which is the EP most people probably know. And so one of Jack cut in half and like confetti came out of his guts. So we did quite a lot of big festivals last year as well. Like we did like Summer Breeze Fest, and we did the French Fest in LA. We went to Poland for the first time. And we did 3 UK headline shows for an Part and a Half tour. We did London and Manchester, and they're fucking round. It was great. We had lots of props on stage, we had people getting cut in half and things like that. Then we did the American tour, we're starting in Arizona and stuff. That was with Unidad Trauma and Eyes of Inoculation. That was a really good one. That was our first headline tour of the States, so we weren't entirely sure how it was going to go. But yeah, that went well. Then we started this year with the Scottish date of the Part and a Half anniversary tour, and that was sold out. That was like 300 people in our hometown. So I was mad. Supporting Gamma Bomb. And yeah, now the album's out. So we got a bunch more touring come up. On Wednesday, we leave for our European headline tour. Then, as soon as we're back, we're headlining a festival in England somewhere. Then it's off to Poland again. Then we're playing Brutal Assault. We've got some more headline stuff coming up as well to announce. We've got a really big festival to announce for November. That should be announced
Okay.
maybe today or tomorrow. But it's going to be in a country we've never been to. So
Sweet.
yeah, keeping busy, man. Keeping busy.
Keeping busy. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like now you guys, it definitely feels like you guys are a force to be reckoned with. Party Cannon, well, it's finally starting to unleash the starboard and broadsides per se. Lots of confetti in half corpses and shit. Lots of zombies showing up to birthday parties and shit, you know. So of course, one thing person to person that I always like to ask my guests, and now since the first session that we did, there's a little bit more of a formula. There's a little bit more of a scripted questionnaire. We actually have more substance, more material to work with, which is nice. So if anything, what I would want to pluck from your perspective, being that you, Chris, are like the one and only today that we got, which is completely fine because that means you and me can catch up, just like me and Mike caught up last time when you guys came through town. If anything, session 2, like you guys got a new album out, that being Injuries Are Inevitable. Again, there's plenty of variety with this album, and we will be looking to dig into that a little bit later in session. But would you say, for starters, that Injuries Are Inevitable is like leagues ahead of what Volumes of Vomit was musically? Like, do you feel musically accomplished after you and the boys now have this album out?
I'd say so. We're all really happy with Volumes of Vomit. At that point, it was definitely my favorite Party Cannon release. The production's good, the song's good, the actual sound of the album, like the direction it was more Party Cannon. It kind of really balanced the whole slam, bro, death metal, and gore grind aspect of our sound. I feel it was kind of the sound we've been kind of striving for. So I feel like Injuries Are Inevitable, it's the same sound, but we've kind of just honed in on it, kind of made certain parts like stand out, and yeah, just kind of it's the same but better. That's the way I describe it. But there's a few new bits to it, like there's a few more kind of grindcore bits, a few more kind of hardcore bits. The brutal death metal part is obviously like way more brutal, and there's like way more kind of beat down type slams, like just slams have like a pause in them, or like really slow. Yeah, just kind of I think the song's a bit more tailored to being played live, because after we played Volumes of Vomit and stuff, we realized some of the songs on were kind of long and he took up quite a lot of our set. There's a lot of stuff that's like fun to listen to, but when you see it live, it maybe doesn't translate as well. So we released a single from an album called I Believe in Danny Filth, which I love that song. I think it's a great song. But when we played it live, we came to realize that a lot of people were just waiting for the breakdown to happen. And the breakdown, that's yeah. Which I am like when I go see a band, I'm definitely one of those people as well. But so we kind of realized the breakdown of the song kind of happens like quite near the end. So okay. If we're going to write songs like that, we'll probably not play them live, but we'll just kind of keep them on an album for variation. So when we kind of wrote the song, was kind of just like, what's going to go down with live? What is what fans going to like live? And as long as it's kind of, yeah, still can keep it with the Party Cannon sound. Like the things that made the album fun, we kind of knew what we were doing. It's the same.
Yeah, which is good. Like, if anything, you understood from the last album and maybe select songs or even standalone singles that some of the songs are a little bit too like IQ lowering, and it doesn't exactly compel people to body the inflatable orcas or like smack each other in the head with the beach balls. Some of the songs, you know, it's musically injuring, right? That's why when you guys announce this album and you would announce what is, I think, an 8-track album, really. So, I mean, either way, a full-length record, but more than enough Party Cannon, right? With Injuries Are Inevitable to at least, okay, 10 songs. I correct myself. I'll do
Well,
all.
one of them is just that interlude. So 9
That's
proper
true.
songs. One of them is a song that's only 2 riffs as well, but that counts. That counts as a song, right?
Yeah, that counts as a song. Come on, as long as it's more than one riff, you should be good.
Yeah.
And even then, like with Slam, half the time, if you really wanted to, you could probably just loop the same guitar riff as long as like the bass kind of bounces back and forth and does like a ding ding dong dong. Like who knows? Jeopardy. Apparently, Jeopardy is Slam appropriate. So I mean, this newest offering is 10 tracks. I mean, that's 38 minutes worth of party canon, 38 minutes worth of IQ lowering party slam from Scotland. Like, who could ask for more? And especially now that you guys have a bigger team backing you up, that being uniquely to recruit. Sound like Scooby there for a moment. Uniquely to recruits, like, you know, one of the biggest starting labels, if not one of the biggest prominent heavy counterculture music record labels in the industry, before you like kind of climb the ladder or something, and then you think of record labels such as Century Media, Nuclear Blast, Metal Blade, all those fun things, all those fun labels. Unique Leader Records, I knew would scoop you guys up because of them being the home of heavy, but also being willing to experiment and just more or less have fun welcoming different niche bands onto the label. I mean, now Unique Leader Records, when I think about it, when I think of the label, I think Viscera, I think Worm Shepherd, but also Awaken Providence, The Breathing Process. And then you jump into the slam vein of things like the really, really true slam shit. And you got Vulvodynia, which is basically deathcore with, or space slam with deathcore elements. You got you guys Party Cannon, which is party slam. Like, how can it get more goofy than that while still being authentically heavy? And then you have other breakthrough rising bands such as Peeling Flesh. You have classics like Waking the Cadaver and Cranium. Like, the list just goes on. You guys are, I think you guys are in a really, really good spot as far as like basically the artists, the bands, the personalities that you're surrounded with now, and like officially on paper. So, if anything, from your perspective, if possible, I would love to kind of get your opinion and like kind of what was happening in your brain when Jamie and the boys, the team over at Unique Leader Records, were first reaching out to you guys. Because I wholeheartedly thought that you guys being signed to ULR was like thanks to content creators like myself who are like, yeah, you guys should totally join Unique Leader Records, or like even kind of pushing it behind the scenes a little bit. But I was like, well, they've been in contact with us for a little bit. I'm like, okay, so in that case, like, how did that process start? You know, how did, like, what was it? A phone call? Was it a text? Was it an email? Like, how did the process start for you guys eventually joining Unique Leader Records?
And you're probably right in the way that people making content about the band, just kind of showing there's an interest and there's a hype about the band, is how people get noticed inside the labels. So I know Jamie from Unique Leader, he is always just scouring things all over the place. He's always keeping his ears on the ground, so obviously he would pick up on that as well. But to see how it started, right before we re-signed to Gore House to release Volumes of Vomit, must have been maybe 2021 or even earlier than that. I'm still doing lockdown, so it might be 2020, even 2020. I just Unique Leader put up a post and like, y'all, we're looking for bands, send it down. So I just went, fuck it. See what happens. I just emailed them like, here's our latest split. These songs are going to be re-recorded for a new album. I don't know what you think. And months went by, didn't hear anything. I always assumed a label like Unique Leader, back in the day, when I started getting death metal, I was like, the label would be on, like, they had bands like Disavowed and Gorgasm, they had like Inveracity, Deeds of Flesh, like, still my favorite bands of all time. At one point in time, they were releasing all the Brutal stuff, all like absolute classic Brutal stuff, and then he kind of branched out a bit more and kind of had some bigger bands that only had like Mental Cruelty and things like that, and obviously Vulvodynia, which are cool bands, not quite Brutal death metal, but I thought it kind of branching more into that kind of direction, more kind of like tech death, more kind of like deathcore. And Park Cannon's always going to be like a brutal death metal band. We're always going to be like gore grind infused, slamming brutal death metal. We're never going to like become like a melodic band. We're never going to become like a deathcore band. We're never going to lighten up in any way, because it's nobody wants to be known as a band that fucking calmed down. So I think we were like a DIY band at that point as well. So my kind of scope was maybe we might sign to like a slightly bigger label in Gorehouse at some point, but still be in the underground. Maybe like, you know, Comatose or something like that, or
Right.
you know, New Standard, maybe even New Standard Elite. Who knows? Like maybe we will tip that push, but yeah, I never really thought we'd send to a label like that. So I just kind of through Split Track, see what we thought. And like months went by, we re-signed to Gorehouse, we announced and things. But I think it was the day we announced we re-signed to Gorehouse, I got an email from Jamie, Unique Leader, being like, "Hey man, sorry it's taken a long time to get back to you, but we actually love the band. We really want to sign you guys. Let me know what the deal is." Like, fuck. We just literally announced we've re-signed our previous label. Shit. I mean, no disrespect to Gorehouse. Carl's did great. Can't complain. I'm happy we did another album of him. I think maybe doing another album of Gorehouse kind of putting the deal for a Unique Leader, because obviously Gorehouse is quite DIY label. He makes a lot of cool merch and stuff, and he has contacts things here and there, but it's not on the same level as like say Central Media or anything like that.
Yeah.
He does push his around, he does do well. But I think the fact that Bombs of Vomit did quite well on a label like that. It was like reviewed by fucking everybody. It was in Kerrang, like it was in Kerrang, it was a Metal Hammer, like print media and things like that. Like it did pretty well in the press. It kind of got out there. Like while I was saying to Gorehouse, we toured with Gore and things like that. So I think Unique Leader is seeing that we could sell quite well or promote ourselves quite well on like a small label. Probably sweeten the deal for when they actually did sign us, and
Right.
probably made the deal we got better than it would have been. So maybe play it on a favor. Who knows? Maybe I'm just speculating. Maybe I'm just kind of justifying things myself. But yeah. So when I got that email, I was like, "Oh fuck, that's actually gonna happen." Then when we got that email and we signed to management and got a couple of games and stuff, and we started playing like big fests, like Plus Dog Metal Days, getting offers from other places, and more people started coming to like our headline shows. Like we went from playing to like 30 people a night, like 150 people a night. Like, we did like a UK tour, and nights were selling out or coming close to selling out as well. So when that started happening, I was like, "Oh wow, maybe there's something to this. Maybe we're not just gonna be like a fully like underground band forever. Maybe there is some kind of wider appeal, even though we play very extreme brutal music." So it was a bit of an eye opener. I think I was kind of stuck in a we will just be underground type thing, and I'm okay with that mindset. And I think getting an email from Unique Leader and the subsequent like gigs and stuff from that was a bit of an eye opener. Kind of made me realize, okay, there's something maybe a little bit more special about what Park Cannon's doing than just your average slam band.
Oh yeah. No, it's a great response. And it's always fascinating to learn about these processes behind the scenes, because over the years since I started this podcast, I can easily say that I happen to like get in contact with the right bands right before they happen to join the same record label. And other examples would be, and not limited to, that of Worm Shepherd, that of The Breathing Process, Awaken Providence. And I'm pretty sure, like, well, I probably shouldn't say it if it ends up being true, but there's another band in that same vein of genre, that being Black and Deathcore. They're based in the UK. They've been silent for like a couple years. All I know is that without meaning to, Kalen Stokerman's very, very legendary artist and graphic art director at Unique Leader Records. He kind of nonchalantly unveiled a new logo that he did for this band. So hint, hint to anybody who might know what I'm talking about, but still, I don't know. I really don't know. But chances are I'm predicting that they're going to be joining Unique Leader Records either this year or next year with their comeback. Yeah. And not only that, but for sure, there's a band called Pray for Pain. They're based out of Austria.
Oh yeah, I know Kevin from my band.
Yeah, dude, Pray for Pain. Like, oh my God, that was really one of the first slam bands I ever found. Like, I I don't know. Would you consider them slam, or like would you consider them more like beat down? Because
It's kind of straddles the line, I guess. Like there's
yeah,
a whole slam down movement, which is pretty
yeah,
fun. So
exactly.
maybe it's like a hybrid or something, man.
Yeah, but I remember when I first discovered their EP. I forgot what it's called. It's for the life of me, but I remember finding them, and really, I found those guys around the same time that I did Signs of the Swarm, Shrine of Malice, like right at the very, very beginning when it came to me finding like slamming deathcore, slam, those darker blackened deathcore bands. Um, it was an insane time, but to know that like they're finally coming back and that they've been looking into joining Unique Leader Records, but haven't really received a response yet. I'm like, hey, Jamie, we're live. Go sign them, dude. They're great. And they deserve the spotlight. They just came back, I think, with a second standalone single. They're, I think, alluding to releasing an album. They just got a new logo commission by Black Upheaval, which is one of the various kind of like, I don't even know, Art of Darkness level, which Art of Darkness, main graphic designer behind Shibori Threads and all of the alternative logos that they do for the metalcore band collaborations they do, yada, yada, yada. Same level to me as Almanac Designs, which would be Alan from Distant, his graphic art design process, because he makes logos. Recent examples would be Waste. There are so many graphic artists that I'm kind of like making sure to plug into my brain, because that stuff's important, you know, when you're first getting started out as a band, and especially a deathcore band, slam band, whatever. If anything, you want consistency, and that's why I decided to pluck the logo designer for the Luciferus era Enterprise Earth logo, that being Darren Baldwin, AZ local. Shout out to the homie. He designed my project's 3 logos, 2 logos, and 1 emblem so far. And there's just something very organic about his art style. But so many tangents, so little time, right? We're live. So that's more or less, you know, your perspective. You provided us your perspective on like the whole process of Party Cannon joining Unique Leader Records, which is like still very, very fresh in my mind. Because again, you guys are one of the bands that I networked with like right before you made that transition, or at least it feels like it, because time passes so quickly. So I can only hope that you guys are comfortable with your record label now. I can only hope that you're comfortable in the position that you are now getting this album out. So one thing that I didn't have the instincts to ask last time, I don't believe so, at least, because it's been such a long time. This would really just be regarding the local Scottish slam or death metal scene, right? I wanted to kind of pluck your perspective, right, upon growing up, right, and becoming a teenager, becoming a young adult, maybe right before you joined Party Cannon, because I don't think we asked that last time. As you got more into metal and rock, or possibly even other genres entirely, did you have other people in school or in your local community who helped you push forward as a musician? So like in high school and graduating, were you a part of a scene over in Scotland, a death metal or slam scene?
I think when I was a teenager in Scotland, there wasn't too big a pro death metal or slam scene in Scotland. There were death metal bands. There were bands like Visual Deity and Embolism were around at that point, but as an actual like death metal scene, I don't think it was ever really that long ago. Death metal scene right now in Scotland is probably the most popular it's ever been. There's like the whole kind of old school revival wave is like really hit Scotland hard. So there's lots of old school death metal bands, and there's lots of people just going to gigs each night, which is amazing to see. But I remember being a teenager and seeing like Dying Fetus play like 14 people in fucking Ivory Blacks. that was fucking dumb. Wouldn't happen nowadays. Then when I was a teenager in high school, though, I had friends that played guitars in a band with some friends at school and stuff. It was like a death metal band. It was more like kind of Black Dahlia Murder type stuff. But people who were actually like, into death metal, like to the extent I was, like there wasn't that many people into the Furman or where I was. So if you want to go to a death metal gig or anything like that, you had to travel at least an hour to one of the bigger cities like Glasgow or Edinburgh. If you want to find anyone that actually like, heard something that wasn't like Avenged Sevenfold as well, you had to kind of go further afield. So it was a bit of it was a steep curve trying to like find people who want to like play death metal or kind of push themselves as a band. I think like the way I kind of like found other people who were into death metal was I kind of had to introduce them to it myself. So the original party kind of lineup was like me, Craig, Jack, Stoney, and a guy called Neil. They all kind of got into death metal like by proxy because I kind of there's people I talked to at their school who I kind of showed death metal and then kind of showed them, so it's kind of expands from that. But yeah, so originally there was not that much death metal happening in Scotland. We had a band called Cerebral Bore who, when I discovered Cerebral Bore as a teenager, that was a kind of game changer for me.
Yeah.
Like they were like an unsigned band that were like touring America and toured Europe, playing with bands I liked. Like they toured Europe, the Environment, they toured Europe with Defeat Sanity, they'd played Central Illinois Metal Fest and things like that. So, and they were playing like proper brutal death metal. At that point in Scotland, they're probably the only like slamming guttural band happening. So I mean, that's great to see. I can't even realize it's possible. It's possible just kind of do stuff like this without being like a signed band or like a band on like an agency or things like that. You could just network people and make it happen. So I think seeing them was the motivator to kind of make things happen.
Fair enough. And I mean, since you were younger, since you were in high school, graduated, became a young adult, and started investing into your life and just try to look toward the future as much as possible. We all have to do that, right? Fresh out of high school, no matter where you're from. Now that you're in a band like Party Cannon, you've been in a band like Party Cannon, you have established the legacy, the discography that you have so far. Would you say that Party Cannon could have been a contributor to what is the booming death metal slam scene in Scotland or in between Scotland, Ireland, like all that part of the world, really? Because of course you can be modest, or you can be like, yeah, I mean, we know people, they were inspired by us, like, and then a scene kind of bloomed, right? People saw what Party Cannon was doing and they just started like getting into it. They started like wanting to book shows. I guess a better way to ask that question would be, do you think Party Cannon has had an impact on the Scottish death metal scene or the Scottish slam scene? And if so, why?
It's hard to answer, man. We definitely have a following in Scotland, and I don't know if like we are the reason people like start like new bands or something like that. 'Cause all the new bands coming out of Scotland are not slam bands. They're like old school death metal bands. There's one or two like slam bands here and there, but for the most part, it's not like real death metal coming out of Scotland. It's still cool. It's still like cool music and stuff. But our last headline show in Scotland, there was like 300 people there. Like we came very close to selling out one of the bigger venues in Scotland, which is really cool, which I didn't expect. So I guess just on paper, there's definitely an impact there if that many people are turning up to see us. But in terms of like kickstarting the scene or anything like that, we've been going for a long time. So I think we're more like a relic than like a game changer. It makes sense. I think there's probably new people getting into there's definitely new people getting into like Scottish music and stuff, and like, oh, Party can be on go for a while. So I mean, I think we're just kind of there.
Yeah.
Also, when we properly started, there was way more of a slam scene in the UK. Maybe not so much Scotland, but in England and Wales and stuff like that. There's like plenty of like real type of bands and slam bands, and we just kind of held on since then. Like there was a lot of bands from then have definitely broken up and reformed already and given off again. Whereas we're still just going like 13 years later, still playing the same sound that everyone was doing in 2009. So, I mean, I can't really consider that answer your question. I'd say maybe we've had like an impact, but I think I'm probably too close to kind of really appreciate what it is. Because to me, like Parkcan's always been a thing like I do in my spare time or the same project. It's always taken up the same level of commitment.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
never really changed. It's never really been like I barely did Parkcan and now do Parkcan all the time. Parkcan's always just been the forefront of a thought process.
Right.
So, I definitely think more people like the band. I definitely think there's more people in Scotland buying Parkcan t-shirts and coming to Parkcan gigs, but I can't really give you a straight up yes we
We
spearheaded
got
the
an
scene.
impact.
Yeah, or no, yes, but possibly there's definitely if there's that many young people coming to this, then we must have some kind of impact on the scene. But
Right.
I couldn't really tangibly measure it. Like obviously, I'm grateful all these people doing it, and it's great that all these people are starting bands and doing different things. But I would really say there's already been bands that have come out of Scotland that sound like Parkcan. Not to say that we're unique in any way, just the current wave has been like there was like a grindcore wave, and there's like a doom wave. Now there's like an old school death metal wave. And there's never really been a bands that sound like Parkcan wave.
So, in that regard, what are some bands you can name that are kind of like rising up through the woodwork from the Scottish death metal scene that you think will be making moves in the future?
Currently, there's a band called Coffin Mulch, who are like an old school death metal band. They sound like Autopsy, and people love that band. People absolutely fucking love that band. Like they played some big festivals in UK. They sold out some venues in Glasgow as well. Yeah, they've been going about England quite a bit. I think they're planning to get to Europe and things like that. But I know they have a following in America. But yeah, it's like proper sludgy, like Autopsy Worship type stuff. Cool band, cool band.
Sick. So you were mentioning earlier that because there wasn't really a slam scene or a death metal scene of any kind coming from Scotland back in the day when you were first getting into the music, well, you would kind of have to take a field trip. You would have to travel to get to your shows, to get to your festivals. So as of course the scene developed, I'm sure various venues around Scotland were erected, right? They were conjured, they were built from the ground up. They just kind of popped out of nowhere because, well, when a scene develops, when a music scene develops, eventually people will have the ambition, they will have the drive to go ahead and get these venues set up. Like that's the beginning of a scene, that's the beginning of a community. As a village gets started up, well, you have to make huts, you have to make houses, you have to make medical stations for a village to be formed in the first place, for towns and cities to be formed. So what are some iconic venues in your local area that you can kind of tell us about? Like, what is their appeal to you? Where are they located specifically? And maybe what are some stories? What are some like iconic events from those venues that happen inside the walls of those venues for you? Like, what are some stories that you can tell us about some Scottish local venues that maybe these up and coming death metal bands are now playing at?
Quite a lot of good venues in Scotland have shut down, to be honest. But there's new ones popping up, like I said. There used to be a place called the 13th Note, which I went to like, a shitload of gigs there. It was like the most on paper pretentious thing ever. It was like a vegan restaurant, and in the basement they had like noise shows and grindcore gigs and stuff like that. I saw bands like Full of Hell in there. There's like a 150 cap room.
That's
Full of
sick.
Hell, McGrew Grind, like fucking weekend night shows and stuff like that. There's so many all day death metal fests there. There's like Glasgow Fest, and there was I saw like I saw bands like Omnipotent Syria in there. And there's a fucking dive, man. Like the venue fucking sucks. Like absolutely, it sounded fucking terrible. And I want to say the food was good, but recently I came out that there's like fucking mouse droppings and health code violations everywhere.
Oh
All the
no.
works, yeah, all the workers went on strike and because like poor working conditions. But it was a fun place. Everyone pulling gigs there. So after general there, like I put in a bunch of gigs there. Like I've seen like prostate disfigurement and rectal smegma and stuff in there and stuff, man. Like that was just like the spot for death metal gigs. I had Wormed booked in there one time, and yeah, it was fucking mad. Like every fucking death metal band in the world just seemed to play this one vegan cafe in fucking Glasgow. And I think there's like another cafe like along the road called Creation Studios, which is run by a guy who used to be in a death metal band called Verso Dei. He fucking did Focus on True War for a little while actually, and it was just like a there's always rehearsal spaces downstairs, but upstairs there's like a normal coffee shop. And he used to just book fucking bands in there as well. Like Rompy Prop played in there. Fucking Torso Fuck just played it. It's just like a cafe where the front door opens into like a busy high street in Glasgow. But at the moment, the kind of more happening venues are places like Audio. Audio in Glasgow is run by a guy called Mark and a guy called Craig, and they book like a shitload of bands in it. And seen like Slime Lord, seen like Nile and things. And there's another venue called Slay, which a lot of bands are now playing. Slay's like a bigger venue. Slay's like maybe 500 cap. I saw Suffocation and Cowley Decapitation there recently, and so it's around. Fucking Cowley Decapitation sold out. 500 people to see Cowley Decapitation. That's mad. And yeah, so a few more venues coming up, but I think my all-time favorite venue in Scotland was this place called Shadow Central, which was just a DIY practice space, and it was like all the stairs and stuff were like handmade, all in these rooms and stuff like built by the people who like work there. There was like a stage in the back, and it was just a fucking disaster because it was all ages. It was bring your own booze. Anytime I used to book gigs there all the time, and it would just pack out. There's like no official capacity limit, so just like 200 drunk people just in this place, like absolutely fucking destroying it. Always like DIY equipment, and that became like the kind of hub for like local metal for a while because everyone just practiced there, everyone putting gigs there. There's all theirs happening there all the time, and that place hasn't really been replaced. There was a place called the Icebox, but it just wasn't the same. It was a similar idea, but it just didn't quite take off the same way. So I think in terms of like venues, I think Audio is probably like the place that's happened the most for like the local scene. It's cool. Like it's a good place.
Hell yeah. I mean, yeah, those are definitely, that's the beginning of stories. Like 200 drunk people just crammed into a little tiny building. You said
the way it kind of looked is like in World War II, everyone had like Anderson shelters or just these kind of like corrugated like tunnels. It just looked like that. It was just kind of big tunnel underneath like a railway bridge, and at the very back was like a stage, and it was like a total fire hazard because there's no way to kind of get out there other than going up these like rickety stairs. It was fucking great.
Nice. And I don't usually ask anything like this because like it could be considered out of left field, but like if there was any place, if there was any spot throughout all of Scotland, throughout your musical career, throughout the career and the time of you being a musician, maybe you spotted like a certain parking lot, maybe you saw a certain building or like a vague clearing in the woods somewhere in Scotland, and you're like, you know what, that would be a great place for a band to play. Have you ever had those moments where you're just like kind of picking out places that you would want to see bands play just for the hell of it, or like?
Actually, funny you mention this because there's loads of skate parks in Scotland which like bands would play, but usually skate parks are like outdoors and Scottish weather is super unpredictable. But recently, a skate park venue actually opened, which I've not been to yet, but it looks fucking awesome.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that's always been like a cool idea. I've always wanted to like go to the skate park, have people hang out outside, have bands play, and have everyone kind of like crowd around. Like it feels like a very American thing to happen because obviously you guys actually have sunlight and we don't. But
Sunlight's overrated.
Seems to be fucking happening now anyway. I thought it'd be pretty cool.
No, it's actually that's really sick. That's like, especially for a band like Party Cannon, I would love to see music videos in the future where you have kids skating in the back, as long as they're not like breaking their neck and shit, you know.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, it could happen. You know, a bunch of venues and locating like breweries have opened up around the UK, so that might be a good spot for some shit to happen soon.
I agree. A little bit too on brand though for the skate parks. Injuries are inevitable.
Yeah, great.
Like, you know, fucking beach balls getting thrown at the skateboarding kids. That's a joke. Don't do that, people. That's not nice.
No, always wear a helmet.
Always wear a helmet. Exactly. Even when you're just listening to an album, apparently. So I mean, that's more or less covering question 3 in my new lineup of questions. Have we talked about your gear setup yet?
No.
Let's go ahead and talk about your gear setup if you're down.
Go, man. My gear has not really changed that much over the years. I don't really change tone for like Party Cannon at all, or any of my other bands, unless I used to like playing like wedding bands and things like that. So unless there's like a gig I'm hired for and needs a specific setup, I will just use the same thing. So at the moment, I'm playing a I've got a custom Y corner bass. That's probably the newest thing I've got. Quite a few years ago, a guy got in touch with me saying like, "Oh, I like Party Cannon. I build guitars in England. He had built guitars like Bloodshot Dawn and stuff like that, and had a really good reputation. He's based in Bristol, so he's like, I'll build you a custom bass. I'll endorse you. I'll give you like an artist discount and stuff." So I have a bass built for me, which sounds fucking great. It's a covered in Pillman. I'll send you a picture afterwards. It's like full Pillman ebony, Fishman pickups and stuff. Factoring, I designed a shape and stuff, and yeah, it's great. I never thought I'd have a custom instrument, but since the opportunity was there, I was like, cool, I'll go for it. Plug into a Sansamp Tectono on bass DI driver. That's like a classic pedal. That's like pre-Dark Glass. Like everyone uses Dark Glass now, but I'm still in the past using my Sansamp pedal. And I go into like a solid state PV Tour. A PV Minimax 500, and that's like literally like a little lunchbox. And I just plugged that into my RK XL 4x10 as all I use. I don't have any compression pedals. I don't have any EQ pedals. I just use that simple setup, and I don't know what it is. It just sounds like the sound I want, and can't complain. Always works. Always sounds the way I want it to. So
Yeah, I mean, the thing is too, one flip side of the coin, as opposed to like constantly looking for new technology, looking for new gear to add to your arsenal, like, well, if it costs less and you've really just found what you're comfortable with, what feels right for Party Cannon, what still feels really gritty, heavy, just nice and thwonky for every fucking album or EP that Party Cannon decides to release, it's like, well, if you found your gear and if you found the gear that you're comfortable with for literally some IQ lowering party slam and it's cheaper, like, boom, I would say that's a win, you know?
Absolutely.
Question 5 on this lineup would be, what lessons have you learned as a person or musician up until this point? Right now we've had 2 years since our last session, so maybe over the course of the last 2 years, more specifically, what lessons have you learned as a person or musician, and how did those lessons drive you? So how do they motivate you, and how could they apply to others trying to accomplish what you have, whether as a successful Party Slam bassist, someone who is now amongst a great many slam bassist under the Unique Leader Records roster. The list goes on. Like, you have a reputation for yourself now. You have a bigger platform, a bigger just bigger ground, taller foundations or something. What lessons could you share with other, maybe Scottish local death metal or slam bands, slam musicians who are like just getting started right now? Maybe they're listening to this session when it post-pro, after we put it up on Spotify. They're like, yeah, Party Cannon is so fucking sick. I want to be just like them one day. Yeah, like, and they're like, I want to be just like Chris. What lessons could you offer to the niche of a slam bassist in the making?
Obviously, the thing you do is like practice and like learn your instrument and know how to make the sound you have in your head, learn how to translate that. Like, obviously, just have it all down. But nothing really matters unless you're like a consistent person and you're reliable and you're good at networking. Like, this is the thing I've always tell people. Your project needs to be consistent. You always need to be doing things and have things in the pipeline. You need to be doing things people actually want to hear, and you need to be networking. Like, you need to be marketing yourself properly to like the people who want to hear your band. A lot of bands, when you start out, they're like, oh, we'll just jump on any gig, or we'll just play with any bands, we'll just, play the same place like 100 times, we'll just not take our social media seriously and things. But what you need to do is you need to actually do some research. You need to actually go out and like meet people who are interested in music too. Find the people who are booking the bands you want to play with, talk to them, talk to the bands that are playing. You need to network. You need to like find the right market for you and make sure you're there. It basically just comes down to be invested in the thing you want to do.
Engage with the local scene.
Yeah, engage with the local scene, engage with performers. Just make sure you're out there, being visible, you're telling people about your music, you're supporting other people's music, you're just networking, and you just overall you're like easy to be around, you're easy to work with.
Yeah. No, I think that's a pretty easy lesson. I think that's a pretty easy goal to accomplish. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to do what Chris is doing right now, if you want to acquire the opportunities that Chris and the boys in Party Cannon have so far, network, be consistent, find your niche, network with those that you aspire to, are inspired by, that way one day you may be able to secure opportunities with the people that you are inspired by, are passionate about with their musical creation, or just any creation. Like, if you want to be in the same room one day on a more professional and official level with any other artist, whether a painter or whatever, you got to be able to network with them. You got to study them like a test. And then you got to see if you can pass the test, and that test being interactions with them, interactions with their fans, catering to the same niche, the same demographic that they do. And then, well, once that opportunity is kind of wangling in front of you, fucking snack it, like, snatch that shit. So again, since our last session 2 years ago, which honestly, one of my favorite sessions of all time, whether it be because of the baggy costumed Batman that was just stalking us from the top of the apartment complex, or the fact that we were live right outside an awesome venue in downtown Nashville called The End. One thing that I mentioned is like 5 albums, 5 artists, 5 characters to fill the slots. If you want, what I'll go ahead and do is, despite us being live right now, well, I'm human. I'll actually be right back. But if you want to, just go ahead and kind of like recall and discuss any like new albums that you've been fascinated with, any new bands that you found, any new people that have been like pushing you aside from the obvious one being Jamie. Just kidding. If you want to, you can continue talking about that. And essentially, I will be back as soon as possible, people. Take it away. Let's see. Can you hear me, Chris?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, just go ahead and like talk about it. So what I was mentioning was, go ahead and like talk about like, well, let's go ahead and see if any of those 5 character slots have updated, right? For like music, albums, singles, artists that you've been like listening to recently. And one joke I made, I was like, well, aside from Jamie Graham, who has been like pushing you, right? So go ahead and just talk about that, and I'll actually be right back.
Cool.
Okay.
I guess the most recent album I've listened to, it came out the same day as ours, was an ACXDC album, Goat. I think it might be GOAT with like periods in it, but it has been good. In terms of characters, obviously like management and stuff now, so they've been helping like kind of directing us and what to do, who to network and things. So yeah, no, it's always good to band with tour, see how they're doing. Yeah. I guess that's like 3 slots ago. So then at A6TC, been dealing with the management stuff as well, like previous bands, successful they've been. Oh, good. Who else? I'll drop blank when people ask me what music I'm listening to. Obviously, Feet Sanity is always on rotation. That's always a positive one. I think they're kind of like the most influential death metal band going at the moment. Well, maybe not influential, maybe like innovative. But like, yeah, there's a lot of different ideas and genres, but they kind of make it sound more like death metal. It's not just like 4 bars of death metal riff, followed like 4 bars like clean jazz. It's like the concepts are used within a death metal context. I just kind of makes it more brutal. Yeah.
All right. So, how many albums did you get through?
Just
How
4,
many?
man. I think. I spoke about 2 albums and 2 characters, I guess.
Cool. And then to I guess kind of like conclude that 5 character update, if you have like a 5th newer album, new artist, new personality that you've been like inspired by, if there was a fifth one, what would that be recently?
I've been watching a guy called Matt who runs a channel called Bacon Bits on Instagram. He's like a PR guy. He works with like Kerry King and things. I think he does more in PR or like manage stuff, but all the clips he posts is all very good advice for bands, and it's stuff I've like always believed as well. So it's good to have someone kind of say things you've been thinking about in a kind of more fleshed out practical context. So Bacon Bits. If you want your band to do well, watch that guy's channel.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely look into that. Well, I mean, that would probably conclude the first half, really, of the podcast session, including the front to back listening session of Injuries Are Inevitable, the new Party Cannon album out now through Unique Leader Records, their debut effort with this legendary heavy counterculture music label. Basically, the first step to me so far, just the impression I've gotten since I've started this whole Sean Cross Up thing in the first place. Unique Leader Records seems to be like the first step in being a successful death metal, slam, gore grind, metallic hardcore, beatdown, whatever. All the cores, all the heaviest subgenres in metal. Unique Leader Records is where you start. That's the impression I've gotten so far. So I don't know. I think the last question for the first half really would be, from your perspective, what do the members of Party Cannon do for fun to connect outside of musical creation? If you guys do have any activities, any rituals that you participate in that aren't actually occultic rituals, but just activities you do.
I wouldn't say there's many activities we do together because we see each other quite a lot. Then we see each other at least twice a week for band practice, and we talk to each other all the time, just like on Messenger. But so it's not that often, because everyone's like, our drummer's like 2 kids. I live like an hour away from everybody. Our guitarists, both our guitarists work shifts and things like that. And yeah, it's a bit of a distance game, just like juggling distance games. So when we're actually getting together, we're just doing band stuff. But no, we all like shared interests. We all like video games and horror movies and sci-fi stuff as well. Like, but all like, I don't know, traveling, cooking, and things like that. So there's a lot more like just general conversation in band chat than just actually getting together to do rituals. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's fair. Well, more or less, I think between you and Mike McLaughlin, shout out to you, buddy. Love you, miss you. I think more or less last time we covered like what the name Party Cannon meant and if there was like any lore behind it. So I mean, more or less we covered that part of the lore, but I guess a more deeper question, something that kind of like is meant to give you a little pinch on the arm or something, would be, how does the name Party Cannon relate to the new record?
Well, I guess it's still like the Party Cannon sound and style, right? And it's still kind of like fun concepts in a way. So it's like, in terms of concept music, it's kind of what you expect from the band Party Cannon. It's kind of doubling down on our brand. So that's what you mean by how does it relate. It's definitely a Party Cannon album. It definitely sounds like Party Cannon. In terms of the actual name, I don't know if the music sounds like a Party Cannon, but it just sounds like it's like energetic, right? It's kind of like debauched music. Makes you think of like Return of the Living Dead and films like that, or Brain Dead and stuff.
Yeah.
That kind of level, kind of just ridiculousness.
Yeah.
Dialed up, really. Yeah.
And would you say that ridiculousness also separates Party Cannon from other bands in the slam community? Or are there other aspects to the musical compositions that you think help distinguish Party Cannon from other bands in the slam community?
I'd say that definitely is like the biggest divider between us and the rest of the slam community. Slam by nature is a pretty ridiculous genre. It's ridiculous in different aspects, but I think we've kind of run with that, kind of made it a bit more ridiculous in different ways. Musically, I think the thing that sets us apart is we incorporate a few other elements. Like we have a bit more of gore grind and kind of punky stuff in our music. Behind your kind of standard slam band, we have a few more kind of technical bits, but yeah, I'd say it's more like the vibe and live shows and stuff, it really kind of separates.
Hell yeah. Well, do you mind, even if there isn't that much like lyrical substance per se? I know there's an overall theme park theme, just the most dangerous theme park in the world. That's kind of what Injuries Are Inevitable is about. Do you mind if we quickly go or briefly go under the skin of the track listing for Injuries Are Inevitable and provide whatever insight there may be, even if it's kind of brain dead?
Yeah, go for it, man. So I mean, the theme park is based on like a real theme park. Most samples come from a documentary called Class Action Park, which is about Action Park, which is like a real place that I think I don't know if it's still open. If it is open, it's definitely under like different management. But in the 80s and 90s, it's just kind of like a Wild West like theme park. It was like a war park, and there's no rules, no safety, anything. Like all the rides were built by the people who like ran the place. It was just like a millionaire that just kind of went off on one. He just kind of owned land and let anything happen on it. So it was just run by drunk teenagers. It's just fucking so much destruction just happened there. But people just describe it like the most party atmosphere ever. So people just getting like their legs skinned going down fucking slides or getting electrocuted and shit. People were dying in the go-karts and things. But like,
Oh my god.
just seems like a fucking right. Yeah, if you've not seen a documentary, watch Class Action Park.
Class Action Park?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll definitely have to check that out now to do some homework on Injuries Are Inevitable. I mean the album title itself is pretty explainable, or it's pretty self-explanatory. That's what I meant to say. That first statement was so brain dead in and of itself. So obviously the title works, but why did you end up naming the album Injuries Are Inevitable as opposed to maybe any of the other track names on this album?
So I'm not really a fan of like calling an album after a track. I don't really want to do it for some reason. I don't know why. I just don't feel it's a very party kind of thing to do. But we came up with Injuries Are Inevitable. Just party canon that was usually follow a kind of like 3 words alliteration essence type thing. So there's long hit hospitalization, reverse party platter, volumes of vomit. So we kind of want to keep it in line with that and kind of have the cover of that. Just I think stuff like that's kind of memorable, like rolls off your tongue quite easily. Injuries are inevitable. I just kind of has a nice alliteration type thing going on. Let's kind of keep it moving party canon. And it kind of fits the theme. With the whole concept of an album, I kind of want it to be solid enough so that if you looked for a concept, it'd be there. But if you kind of list any of the tracks like separately, it would just stand on its own.
Hell yeah. I mean, yeah, like quite literally, most of the track titles are in regard to the theme park, like weird but not illegal. This park is still following the law for what it's worth. It's just on private property, so it's weird but not illegal.
Yeah.
Or Test the Shoot. I can only imagine that has something to do with this poor guy who's like suspended by balloons or whatever on the album cover, even though those are balloons, not shoots. So let's go ahead and start with weird but not illegal. Literally, like going along this album, if there's anything to talk about, that's what we're looking to cover. So weird but not illegal. Cool.
Well, ladies, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not drunk enough to know if this is good weird or bad weird. I'll get there though.
What's going on here, if there is anything?
Yeah, so that kind of covers it's kind of like a moral gray area or legal gray area, like the park can operate in. Like people kept trying to sue the park and get shut down, and the local government kept trying to get rid of it, but the guy just had the best defenses possible. Like nothing he did was technically illegal. It was just very kind of weird in terms of the way he can operate it. So it's more just about him kind of pulling a fast one, kind of just operating in that kind of gray area.
Right. How about Test to Shoot, track 2?
So the sample in that song even kind of comes out. Basically, they built their own like shoes, like a kind of like loop, and basically they're like throwing like dummies down it to see how it would work. And basically the dummies are all coming out like dismembered and things. And like, oh, okay. So what we need to do is test out some real humans, and when we tested like the actual humans, everyone was kind of like smashing their face on the kind of loop. So a guy would have to go in and like pull these like fucking like teeth out, like the fucking lining of the shoe.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay. How about not immediately life-threatening?
Oh wow.
Yes.
Yo. Yeah, you've not even seen the videos.
I saw the first music video, not this
Okay.
one though.
All right, well, there's two more.
Yeah, the most dangerous theme park of all time. The owner was like, I'm not going to hassle the kids with a bunch of rules. I'm just going to leave safety up to them.
Which is very contradictory to the first two so far.
Yeah. That was how that guy kind of got away with certain injuries and getting away with things. Basically, he eventually had like some vague health inspectors come around the park, and they came and assessed what could go wrong. And just in the documentary, they're like, right, all these injuries are classes, they kind of downplay it as not immediately life-threatening. So basically, it's kind of level injury people are expected to receive from these things. Like, cool, that's good with me. It's not a death trap.
Approved.
Yeah, pretty much.
Track 4, we have Lane Staley went down the slip and slide.
So tell me, any preparations as we're about to embark on the speed slide?
Yeah, preparation H. I've got it on right now.
So I don't even know, Lane Staley's the guy from Alice in Chains. I'm not like an Alice in Chains fan, so I think he's the one that died. I'm not entirely sure.
Oh.
Yeah, so basically, he didn't die at a theme park. However,
Oh.
there was like a Headbangers Ball episode where they all went to Action Park, and so there's loads of clips of Alice in Chains going on with all these fucking rides.
All right. Fair enough. And this is also part of the documentary, or?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay. Alpine Spine, track 5.
That was the vocals there. There was like a ride, like an alpine ride there, where someone, I believe, they broke their spine on the ride. So it's kind of playing in the ride's name, Alpine Spine, instead of an alpine ride.
Understood. 1983. I know that's more or less the interlude on the album.
Yeah, that's like the year the park was founded.
Understood. Track 7, we have Cannonball Loop.
Yeah, it was another reference to the Cannonball Loop. The slide was looping it, but it was killing everybody and breaking them in half.
Track 8, we have Safety is Not Priority.
In the shed to smoke weed and have sex. That's what they would do in that shed. Why anybody would want to have sex in there, I can't fathom.
Yeah, it was just general consensus of people were coming there to party and they were coming there to be safe. So there's a bunch of lines, and I think that's a line from the documentary. A guy just went, safety is no priority, and it's like, I just kind of sticks in my mind.
Fair enough. Bonus Ambulance. YouTube Premium, man. Gotta get it. Eventually.
There are certainly things that happen at Action Park that are never spoken about. We lived through it. We regretted some of the things we did.
Apocalypse
but we
is
don't talk about
inbound. It's been here. Wait. This guy's back.
Basically, they're having so many injuries that the guy had to buy the hospital a new ambulance to kind of keep them happy. Because the ambulances are coming out so much that I would just buy you another ambulance, stop playing. So now you can have.
Right. And then the last track on this, the 10-song record, okay, yeah, released April 26th. I'm like, wait a minute, it's like deep into May. I'm like, no, it's not. I'm still waking up apparently. Track 10, Human Slime.
That's how the locals who lost their kids at a park refer to the owner. They refer to him as being human slime.
Wait, so did people actually die at this park?
Oh yeah.
Oh shit.
Died, maimed, crippled.
Jesus.
Okay. But
Okay.
they had a good time.
That's good. Well, one thing I also wanted to touch up on, because I noticed between bonus ambulance and not immediately life-threatening, there was this character in a mask. Was that just supposed to be like Death the Reaper, or?
I think we're still fleshing out the lore in that one.
Okay.
We have a friend called Bailey who used to shoot all our music videos for the last album. He made like our documentary series and things like that. And unfortunately, he started to go blind, so he couldn't really like be a cameraman anymore. So he's gonna focus his efforts on other things. And he started making all these skull masks, and they're all like really high grade quality. So like, oh cool. So he's like a good friend of ours, and I want to keep him involved. We had a poster made for one of our UK tours. And it features like a skull guy with a hat on, like a party hat, and like thrown up. Like, oh, that's cool as fuck, and that looks like one of Bailey's masks. It's like, oh cool. We'll just bring the character to life and have him in the videos. It's just so Bailey can be involved, and it kind of gives us a bit of lore to work with. So the skull guy does not like party can. That's the kind of lore there.
Nice. And going into the near future, of course, like now that we've more or less gone under the skin, done whatever lobotomy we can for Injuries Are Inevitable, and now I have a documentary to watch, that being Class Action Park.
Yeah,
After
it's on
conducting, okay, HBO, understood. After conducting a lobotomy for Injuries Are Inevitable, and after us concluding the first half of the podcast session talking about bands that inspired all of the members in Party Canon, what distinguishes Injuries Are Inevitable from other iconic records relevant to slam, brutal death metal, slam down, whatever, in your own personal opinion?
I think what kind of makes Party Canon sound a bit different from like bands like Internal Bleeding or like Devourment or anything like that. Well, obviously they're like our biggest influences. I think there's way more like a brutal death metal focus on Party Canon. Like the speed aspect is definitely there, which isn't really like slam bands do go fast, but it's not really in the same kind of way we do. And there's a bit more of a kind of classic brutal death metal sound or kind of grindcore approach as well. Like it's a bit more kind of dense and layered, I think, in ways. There's a technical aspect as well. Like we're not like a tech death band, but our music does
You're
get pretty out
fucking
there.
close. I can hear it.
Yeah. So I think
Catches me off guard sometimes.
yeah. So I think it's more of a compositional thing. Like we do sound a lot like the classic albums you associate with slam death metal, but I think we just kind of write the songs a bit differently, like, or we kind of structure the songs a bit differently. Like there's more focus on speed, like, and the slams kind of come in as kind of more like a moment, like a kind of breakdown. Whereas a lot of these albums, the slam is kind of constant, which I like. But I think the way we structure songs is kind of closer to bands like Dying Fetus, where when a slam comes in, it feels like a breakdown.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. And I mean, I most likely know the answer to this, but for the sake of press, for the sake of this live stream podcast, how and why did Injuries Are Inevitable become an album instead of an EP?
Well, we felt we've done enough splits and EPs. Kind of want to keep putting albums out. And when we signed Unique Leader, knew we wanted an album. So
Fair enough. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. It's just good for marketing. It's a bigger effort, so people are more willing to invest into it. More people are willing to pre-order for it, as opposed to an EP coming out and they're like, "Well, when's the album coming out, though?" Like, that's always the stigma. And I mean, I get it because I know that me myself, like, I'm definitely more prone, more motivated to invest when it's a bigger, like, it's more songs on a CD, it's more songs on a disc. So I mean, really, we've caught up with Party Cannon. We're all caught up now. It's 8:06 a.m. for me. We've been at least doing this close to 2 hours now, which is awesome, like solid as hell. There's a lot of things for Party Canada to look forward to, and more or less you did briefly discuss the future. You briefly discussed the near future. So if possible, if there are any other details or any other bands or people that you're wanting to shout out, we can go ahead and do that now, and then we will be good to go for today.
cool. Yes, then it was to shout Cognitive from New Jersey, because we're going to tour of them in May around Europe. Shout out Dan NC, our agent and manager, Jamie Leader for letting this happen, Mike at Full Studio or Voil Studio for putting up for us for fucking 10 days, maybe even longer to record it. Steve Wright, who mixed and mastered an album. He worked in bands like Dying Fuse. Also shout out Gamma Bomb, who took us on tour recently. Shout out everyone who came out to like our anniversary gigs and did Trauma, Inoculation, Street Soldier.
Such a good show.
Yeah, Red Methods. They played in gigs. I was going to say Red Command or Red Alert. No, Red Alert's a fucking video game. Red Method. Shout out to them. Guys at Fugue Juice, always good guys. Yeah. Carlos at Gorehouse. Cheers to everyone. Fucking, yeah. Bailey, Hamish, Katie, everyone who made our fucking videos happen. Callum McMillan, guy who directed the videos and shot them. Just for doing that. Yeah. Cheers to you for having us on. But yeah, shout out to everyone who's supported Party Slam so far.
Hell yeah. And I do think that will be a good way to wrap up what is now our second live stream podcast.
Yeah, it's good, man. It's good. It's a good one.
Good stuff. Well, ladies and gentlemen, and everything possibly in between, this has been the Anatomy Podcast and Chris, not Jacob, Chris from Party Cannon. Their new album, their new 10-track full freaking fat full-length album, Injuries Are Inevitable, is now out through Unique Leader Records. Well, this is the Party Slam of the century. It's the only Party Slam band there is for now. Let's make that change, people. Let's see what bands can start like sprawling from the fucking woodwork around the world. And just like the Great Eternal Music Machine, let's keep cranking, and we will see you guys in the next podcast episode. Later, guys.
All right.
All right. And then